Let's look at how celebrities and sports teams are Chinese backed and they bring dog ownership into our culture. Dog ownership is, in my opinion, very anti American. Dogs have such a huge cost, stress, credit cards, veterinary suicide. But celebrities and sports teams are constantly supporting the ownership of dogs. So, first, we're looking at this right here. Sports teams and the Best Friends Animal Society, they partner all the time. Best Friends Animal Society is a huge pusher of pit bull ownership. They're a 501c3 organization. You can look this all up. But they're always connected to sports teams. So when those guys are out there playing sports, getting paid a whole lot of money, a lot of that money just goes to pit bull ownership, pushing pit bull ownership through the Best Friends Animal Society. Not out to you, not out to their fans, but to pit bull ownership. Pit bull ownership that kills your dogs and kills your toddlers. So some of the sports teams, they're also, guess what, connected to China. They have big Chinese investments in these sports teams. So, what do sports teams do? They influence our thoughts, they influence our actions, our spending habits, they influence who we hang out with or who we don't hang out with. So, Chinese that own these sports teams, of course, they're going to want those people to put money into dogs because the Chinese want that level of control over us. Think about it. All the stuff we buy for our dogs pouring in from China. The raw materials to make doggy Prozac, the leashes, the doggy tents, the doggy everything, the little oxygen concentrators that people get for dogs. It all comes from China. So, of course, they want the sports teams that they own to push dog ownership, either through owning dogs themselves or dumping money into that 501c3 that I just mentioned. So, yeah, so they support dogs. Support for dogs comes from these sports teams all over the place. They promote adoption, therapy dogs for athletes. So the athletes get hurt, and then it's like, well, they must need a dog. So that's just a little look at the sports teams and China and the promotion of dogs. So what about Hollywood studios? We all know that celebrities promote dogs like crazy. Yes, many Hollywood studios are owned, partially owned, or invested in by Chinese companies. So let's look at another thing. What about Dirty Jobs? What studio was Dirty Jobs? What? So wait, what is Dirty Jobs? What are we talking about here? We're talking about Mike Rowe. He promotes dogs. He gives money to the Best Friends Animal Society, pit bull pushing. But he does this thing, this virtue signaling, grandstanding. I got bit by a dog, but it's all cool. I'm just like y'all. And was he really bit by a dog, or is he just cosplaying like he always does? But, anyways, he pushes dog ownership. He pushes having this appease the abuser mentality when you're bit by a dog. He didn't report it. He didn't talk about the dangers. He didn't talk about rabies or shots, anything. He just made himself look like some kind of great dude for allowing himself to get bit by a dog. So, we're talking about Mike Rowe, which would be Dirty Jobs, also Discovery Channel. So here we are. The Discovery Channel has partnered with Chinese media companies too. So do you think the Chinese partners that own or partly own some of Mike's content, do you think that they want him to promote dogs and promote this bow your head between your legs and walk around with blood flowing out of your leg and not say anything about it? Yeah, of course they do. Of course they do. Mike is partly owned by this. There is a chance that he's even signed a non-disclosure agreement to not talk bad about dogs. All the money he's given to the Best Friends Animal Society and the fact that the studios that he's part of are partially Chinese owned, there's a good chance that he's been commanded to never talk bad about dogs. With all of his something million views on some of his newer videos, he's never talked once about getting your leg checked out after being bitten by a dog. He talks about labor and work and sweat and all this stuff, but not once has he mentioned safety around dogs. Very interesting. And let's go one step further with Mike's studio. So Discovery Channel is owned by Warner Brothers, also Chinese investors. So they're loving it. They're loving Mike going around promoting dog ownership, not mentioning one little thing about the dangers of dogs, not one little thing. Okay, so what about Barbie? You know, we got a Barbie movie, we got a Barbie toy that encourages little girls to play with dog poop. Well, Mattel is also partnered with Chinese companies. So you got Barbie, the celebrity doll. You got top tier celebrities in the Barbie movie, and so of course they're gonna want to get their little Barbie toys and play with them all day. And the Barbie toys now come with dogs that poop. Ridiculous. So Dave Bautista, he loves pit bulls. I have a short video about that. But let's go over to the Best Friends Animal Society and look at the names: Judah Bautista, Silva Bautista. Maybe they're not related to Dave Bautista. I just thought that was interesting. But Dave Bautista also donates to these pit bull organizations. He does a whole video of him saving a dog and trying to act like somebody out there hurt the dog, making himself look good. I'll show you that video in the description. But Dave Bautista also works for, guess what? Marvel. So, Marvel also is invested in by Chinese companies. So again, of course, they're going to want him to run around promoting pit bulls, promoting hatred of your fellow humans like he did in his video. They found a dog supposedly with a chain around the neck, and he's offering a reward for the bad abuser. And all the people in the comments are like, yeah, Dave Bautista, beat him up, put him in a hold. You know, because Dave Bautista was a wrestler. Yeah, so dog ownership is hugely supported by celebrities. It's hugely supported by China. And everybody out there right now is so concerned about stuff like made in USA, or everybody is so interested in the topic of Chinese people buying up farmland. Meanwhile, we're pouring billions and billions and billions of dollars into China through dog ownership. Dogs that are nothing more than an expense and a liability. And the celebrities that make all of this money off of the lowly citizens that buy their products and their toys and their Star Trek and Star Wars. Sorry, take Star Trek off that. I meant Star Wars. Star Trek rocks. But celebrities get all this money and then they dump it right back into 501c3s for dogs. Not for you, for dogs. Dogs that in the end cost you money. Dogs that kill your toddlers. Dogs that in one way or another support these Chinese goals for America. So there you go. That's how dog ownership is pretty much funding the Chinese, funding celebrities. Celebrities turn that money back into dogs. And meanwhile, everybody out in society is having a worse and worse time with dogs. More dog owners have stress. More dog owners are separated from humans. Veterinary suicide, groomer's lung, all the stuff that we have to deal with dogs. The decisions and the goals in our life are controlled by our dogs. People even say, oh, my dog is my god. Yeah, those people over there in China that are selling you all these dog products, they're like, yep, we didn't even have to launch a nuclear bomb on them. We just got them worshiping dogs and got their celebrities to push them to do it too. See you guys later.